So this is the last panel, and I'm gonna moderate it. I'm gonna make sure we don't run out of time. Already we are behind the schedule, and we really respect your time. But this is a very important panel because all of the panelists that I have here with me today are experts. I mean, these are the people which are important people, people that kind of are mover and shakers, as we call. So let me start by calling my dear friend Mr. Ali Iqbal from the National ICT R&D Fund X. Now it's the Ignite. Can I have a round of applause for my panelists, please? Okay, my second panelist is Mr. Zahid. Mr. Zahid is now have a very important role that he will tell you once he comes. He's a VIP, visual impaired person, and he has done a lot of work with regards to right of information. And now I will call upon Mr. Parvez Iftikhar, a renowned ICT consultant. He was CEO of USF and has a lot of success stories under his belt. Currently, he is the chair of the Prime Minister ICT Task Force on Telecommunication. And last but not the least, I'll call upon Dr. Gardezi from ComSets. So we have tried to follow a multi-stakeholder approach. We have academia, we have donors, funders, research development agencies. We have someone who has a very important task, and in fact, I'll start with you, sir. And then, of course, we have Mr. Zahid. So, since we have you, Parvez Saab, I would take this liberty to ask, tell us about this ICT task force of the Prime Minister. I mean, what is happening? What are the aims and objectives of this task force, which is supposed to set up the roadmap for ICT impacts?
I thought you would ask something about the accessibility.
That's later.
Anyway, the task force on IT and telecommunications has been set up by the Prime Minister with the so-called multi-stakeholder approach again. There are all kinds of stakeholders on it. And the idea is to come up with ideas, with policy recommendations, with projects. There's no sort of limited in that limited scope in that sense, which can boost the sector of IT and telecom, which can generate employment, which can create jobs, which can take Pakistan as a country to development in information communication technologies. The task force itself consists of about 23 members. This has been then split into three parts. One is IT, one is HRD, Human Resource Development in IT, and the third is telecommunications. I am heading the one which is telecommunications subgroup, and we are also trying to come up with policies, with projects or programs which can improve the supply side of ICT, basically. We have started, we have already given some of the recommendations, we have already started work on some. Hopefully, in the next few months, some results will be visible.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, let me now switch to Mr. Zahid. Zahid bhai, talking about right to information, and I know that recently we had some success with regards to legislation. So government has embraced right to information. When we talk about information, internet is the biggest source. that enables access to information. So when we talk nowadays about information, the first thing that comes into mind is internet. Please tell us about how this legislation and how the work that you are doing now relates and imply to persons with disabilities right to access to the information.
Thank you very much, Nadeem Saab. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Good afternoon. Um, uh, Let me introduce myself. I'm working as a Federal Information Commissioner. Government recently has established this 3-member commission to protect and promote rights to information of citizens of Pakistan. Basically, it is the commission has been established under right of access to information act 2017, and we have powers to ensure that citizens can have access to information pertaining to matters of public importance under constitutional provision at Article 19A. So I will come later to what we do. Before that, I will just take 1 minute to address a very critical issue, which I see is very important. In the earlier session, and I say it very respectfully, in the earlier session, Chair, one of the participants, and one very dedicated person, Suhaib from Sialkot, they mentioned a couple of things which I find sometimes very frustrating, sometimes very bemusing. It is non-disabled people telling us how should we be addressed. This is very, very interesting. Like people telling us we should be called differently abled, people with different abilities, visually challenged people, blah, blah, blah. So, and we don't, I mean, we can say like, what is, instead of checking first what is the expert opinion or how we have evolved in terms of this debate on how people should be addressed, like, UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Now, that convention came about after a lot of discussion, and there were a lot of back and forth how people should be addressed. And internationally, all the rights movement of persons with disability, this concluded that we are people with disabilities. We are people, human beings first, and we have disabilities. As Shapir Awan, my friend, was also sharing that, and in earlier session, I think that our disabilities are out there in terms of barriers, which could be physical, which could be, environmental, which could be mental. So we are people with disabilities, or you can call us disabled people. Wheel impaired, when I was losing sight in 1999, 2000, I was partially sighted. So partially people are called wheel impaired, or those who cannot see, as I can't see now, the blind people. Yes, there are derogatory terms, like, calling a person with physical disability Nulla Langra, that is not on. इसी तरह नाबीना कहना चाहिए उर्दू में, not अंधा. Positive spins वाली है ना, differently abled, या people with different abilities. I don't see कि मेरी कौन सी abilities जो हैं वो बड़ी different होंगी just because I cannot see. So we let us stick to what we have agreed after lots of discussions, and we have a international convention as well. So just few thoughts, and that also very respectfully. Coming back to right to information, as I said, Article 19A, under Article 19A, every citizen of Pakistan has right of access to information in matters of public importance, with, of course, reasonable restrictions to be defined under the law. So we have this right of access to information act 2017, which defines what is a public body, which says what information has to be shared and what has to be protected, like, privacy information, information about ongoing investigation, information about insider training, which gives benefit to one person because he has insider information, information pertaining to national security, information pertaining to our relationships with other countries. That information which may damage that relationship, that has to be protected. So other than these, this every information is that is with the public, with the government, that is public information. Government is not the owner of that information. Instead, it is the custodian of information. It has to provide it to people, citizens who request it. Number one, there are two, components of access to information. One, when a citizen of Pakistan, and our law clearly lays down procedure how that information has to be provided. So anyone can seek information. It has to be provided within 10 working days. And if the public body takes this position that this information cannot be provided on certain grounds, then and if the citizen is not satisfied, they will come to us, to the Pakistan Information Commission, where we will decide whether this information has to be provided or not. So this is the information on demand. And on the other side, which is very relevant to the great work that Internet Society Pakistan chapter is doing, and which pertains to this gathering as well, that is the proactive disclosure of information. And in our laws, whether these are provincial laws like the Right to Information Act, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Right to Information Act 2013, or Punjab Transparency and Right to Information Act 2013, or the Right of Access to Information Act 2017 federal level. Under these laws, there are categories of information that have to be provided and proactively through websites by the public bodies. So, and within that, there are provisions that this information has to be accessible. When this information, though the laws do not say very clearly that people with disabilities, though on the demand side there is very clearly mentioned that people with disabilities have to be facilitated. Similarly, we have interpreted that when government is supposed to make this information accessible through websites, so it means that it has to be accessible for all people, not for only those who don't have any kind of disability. So we will be ensuring at Pakistan Information Commission, which is in the process. We will soon be having an office and staff. So our mandate is to train officers of public bodies to be more proactive in sharing information, and in that we will be ensuring that information is provided in an accessible manner. All those web content accessibility guidelines are incorporated in the design of public bodies, so that information is available to persons who cannot see, who have limited vision, or those who have speech and hearing impairment. So all those standards that have already been developed at the international level, they have to be incorporated. And the government mindset, I think it is very pro persons with disabilities. Although I've been working in the area of right to information last 16 years, and one of the commissioner out of the 3 information commissioners was supposed to be a person who has 15 years experience. There were other people, but government didn't have any mental barrier to appoint a person who cannot see, who is a blind person. It means that government is open to these new ideas. So we will be at that Pakistan Information Commission ensuring that the law is implemented in letter and spirit, and we will be very, very proactive and in ensuring that this information is made available to all people. And thank you very much. If there will be questions, surely I will address.
Excellent. No, that was very important. I was trying to understand because we have like Digital Pakistan policy and telecommunication policies. So there are policies which are directly linked with technological infrastructure, services, etc. But then there are other policies which are Right to Information Act, for example. So I was trying to just link them, and I think your answer had made at least my mind very clear how these two can marry. Coming to Dr. Akbar, so I know your institute has been working, especially in the Islamic countries. Of course, would like to share a bit of that. But tell me, what do you see as the current situation of having accessible education in universities? One. Second, as far as my experience is concerned, I have seen countries where academia has been put on the real front side of developing services and applications for persons with disabilities. The universities have assistive laboratories. They are trying to, involve the students into those applications and solutions. What is the situation in Pakistan? And also, if you have any suggestion on what could be improved.
Thank you, Naveed. First of all, let me just begin by saying that some of the work that we've been doing in the Islamic countries, as Naveed has mentioned, I'm based at ComSats University, and over there is a network called Inter-Islamic Network on Information Technology. So this is an official OIC network, which works for the 57 member states, which is hosted by the government of Pakistan, placed at ComSats University. So one of my responsibilities is to manage that network as well. And under the purview of that network, we conduct different activities around the world. One of the recent meetings that you also was the expert journal meeting on disability and inclusive innovation technologies. So under the purview of the network, last year we initiated certain programs in ICT for development. And we collaborate with international bodies like the UN bodies and the international NGOs in terms of around disability. We are focusing on awareness and advocacy. And one of the recent study that's been going on is that we are trying to assess the gaps in policies which prohibit the provision of technologies to people with disabilities. So the findings of that study, they would be published soon. So I would, we can share it on the wider forum as well. Coming back to your question in regards to the current situation in the universities in terms of inclusive education. So sadly, I think in universities, especially like even ComSats, it's a new university, and we have a very progressive outlook. But although things have improved in terms of accessibility, but still, what I think is that they're not up to the standard that is what we call the international standard. Still, as I think you focused the depth talk case study in the session. So, and one of the things that might have actually come up on that is that software engineers, like how many people with disabilities do software engineering or computer science disciplines in Pakistan, like not internationally in terms of, so the numbers are quite less. So that is an alarming thing, that why do students opt for technical subjects when it comes to inclusive education. And one of the problems is that we don't have the correct facilities to enable them to access that information that we need for technical education. So that needs to change. So recently, we do try to conduct workshops in terms of how they can access that information. But still, one of the concerns that were raised in the previous session as well, in terms of the accessibility of the local content or the regional content. So the problem is, if somebody cannot understand English, how they can actually learn from that. So that's one of the concerns. And so works needs to be done on that. And also, like in terms of like we also focused on virtual education, virtual classroom models, but still there are barriers. So we can discuss more on those barriers in the session in terms of the infrastructure requirements or the capacity of the individuals to absorb that information. So that's one thing. And lastly, I think in terms of how we can cope up and how we can actually cover up the gaps that are present. So I think in that context, we need to learn from the regional good practices. So one of the things that my work has taught me, that there are good practices within the OIC bloc, within the countries which are similar to Pakistan. We need to actually learn from them. So I think, I don't know if it was mentioned in the previous sessions. So the G3 ICT index, the DARE index, which is the Digital Accessibility Rights Evaluation Index, Pakistan is ranked quite low in that, whereas Nepal, Sri Lanka, and India, they are ranked quite highly in that ranking. So this is something we need to actually, they have actually have a checklist of what things we need to achieve to actually move up the ranking table. So I think let us, start with the universal set model and try to achieve those things. So I think we'll discuss more than. Thank you.
Okay, good. Any questions at this point? Anyone has any questions at this stage? Abid bhai.
Thank you very much, panelists, for your enlightening talks. I have a couple of points, and perhaps some of the panelists may want to respond to these points. First is Akbar Sahab talked about the education and the need of scientific education for persons with disabilities. You, sir, really hit the nail on the head. That yes, we need, as a person with disabilities, to teach them the scientific and science and technology subject. And in Pakistan, more than ever, we need this technology. But one area that we are also lacking here is, and Parvez, as a member of Prime Minister's task force, is sitting on the panel, so perhaps he may want to think on the point that I am just going to talk about, is that most of the students that are studying in our universities, in our local universities, they are doing BS in computer sciences or software engineering or MS. So most of them, they are even not aware of the accessibility and the development needs for persons with disabilities and the accessibility requirements or the international standards. So perhaps while we are thinking about teaching persons with disabilities the technology, yes, this is the right way, but we also need to think about the education of already we are developing here. So this is what we call, the policy also calls, the disconnect between the market needs and what is being taught at the universities. So we need to teach the accessibility standards and what are the international requirements and how those can be fulfilled at the university level. Then we can expect in the market that we would have accessible websites and accessible applications, all those things. Secondly, you rightly talked about the local content, but I am not sure that Nepal has the voiceover or the text-to-speech engine in their local language. My information may be lacking, but as far my information is concerned, Nepal does not have this text-to-speech language speech engine. Yes, there are replicable solutions, and one of the purpose, as I can say, as one of the organizers that we had in our mind was that we need to replicate and discuss the common solutions for the common problems that we have in our countries. Thank you.
Okay, good points, Shabib. I think I'll take them later. Moving on to Ignite. So the reason I was coming in because I wanted to hear first from Dr. Akbar, because there is a connect as well when we talk about research and development and Ignite. So one, I would like you to say some words as a follow-up what Dr. Akbar has raised as some of the issues and how Ignite can fit into that puzzle. And second, please tell us what are the opportunities for persons with disabilities as far as Ignite is concerned, seeing it's a research and development funding agency. And of course, some of the work that you have already done.
Thank you, Naveed, for inviting me. And also it's a humble and very honored to share the stage with such kind of people. Parvez is our mentor, had done tremendous work in the domain. Similarly, Zahid Bhai, he is also an institute within himself. And Gardezi Saab, first time I'm meeting, but the things that he actually highlighted are really very worthy and thought-provoking. So Ignite, first of all, Ignite, ex-National ICT R&D Fund, was established by government Pakistan back in 2006-7 with the mandate to create the knowledge economy in the country. So this is what, so when we talk about the knowledge economy, so it is actually addressing all the spheres of life, because when we have the ICTs being made part of the circle, so what we are going to do, we are having an impact on all the sectors that are involved. And first, what Gardezi Sahab has said, yes, it is very important that we have to define our educational standards being aligned with the accessibility standards, what we call, and also to take care of the needs of the a large scale community that we have, which is related to what we call the personally challenged. I use a word with permission of the house. So what we are looking forward to, we look forward to actually not only give them a chance to learn something, but learn something that has some technical aspects also, so that they can have the technical abilities. And the best thing that we can do is to have a mindset to produce a gut feeling that these are our problems and we have to solve ourselves. So in this regard, nothing better than what Naveed has done with us a couple of years ago. So I start with that one. We designed a program with the support of Pakistan Telecommunication Authority also. So, and Telenor at that moment, I think. Yeah. So, yes. So what we have got, so we thought, okay, let's build applications that will help the physically or mentally challenged people to do their daily work. So for that particular reason, what happened that we designed a program under which a 3.5-month program, HRD program, in which the developers, the software developers were all asked to sit with the community, the personally challenged community. One of the person from that community will become the team member in the development, and also how and what kind of needs have to be addressed by making those solutions. So unless we collaborate, it is very difficult to come up with a better solution. Or how can we actually educate ourselves and also make way for this very important community that we have. So this is one of the projects that we have done successfully. It was done. I think Atif here, he was part of that project, take the lead in that project. And then what we have done recently, I just returned from Karachi last week. We concluded another project, that's an HRD project, under which we have actually provided trainings to visually impaired people so that they can have the JAWS software, how to actually use the screen readers, similarly how to use the ATMs, how to use the mobile phones. So in this way, they will become part of the overall community that we have. So society actually has to make itself known to the needs and requirements of visually challenged people. And once that thing is there, so then we can actually educate them, and then we actually once make part of this whole effort, I think it will help in enhancing the better solutions for them. As far as Ignite is concerned, the other thing, we actually fund projects. It's a grant. So unsolicited projects around the year, we accept such proposals under this stream. What we have done more than, I think, double-digit, more than a dozen projects which are taking care of this person with disability or physically or mentally challenged people. Few of the examples that we have, Wonder Tree, it's a Karachi startup. They are designing software to help those people who are challenged, who have problems with their motor skills, functional skills, and mental skills. And already they are working with Aga Khan, Ziauddin Hospital, Navy Hospital, and today in another event at NIC, they will get 50,000 pounds roughly co-investment for this purpose. So this is a success story that we have. Similarly, when we talk about pure education, so at LUMS, we have actually funded a project that is related to the assistive technologies for latex. Latex is a tool, software tool for development. So under which it has some shortcomings when we talk about the things which are related to person with disabilities. So for example, mathematical modeling when it is concerned. So actually we have funded a project so that it is bringing something innovative in a sense that it will add some language or sign language things into that latex environment. So this is another thing that we have done. Ignite is one of the few organizations which has made its website being built on the accessibility standards, a government website. So we have launched it 3 months ago. Then similarly for visually impaired people, deaf people, we have number of projects that we have. I think take a lot of time, but these are the few of the things that we have already funded. But a lot of things can also be done with Ignite support. That is a kind of commitment because Naveed asked for the commitments. So we are very much committed to support anything that is related to uplift the life and standard of our major part of society, which is challenged to some extent. I would still not comfortable with this word, but again, we can help by collaborating and also co-innovating. So this is the motto I think that we should.
Excellent. No, thank you very much. The reason why I was asking this was because during the day I met a few professors and they were visually impaired. And then they were talking and asking how can we contribute. So I mean, folks here, if you're still in the, I see one there. Ignite has opened the arm. Funding is available. If there is any innovative solution that can help persons with disabilities in technological sections, Ignite is open to those applications. So excellent, thank you. Since we just heard about Atif Bhai from STEP, I'll just pass a microphone to him to say a few words.
Thank you, Naveed, for having me here. Building on the discussion or the comments by the worthy panelists, what they have said, in Pakistan, we all agree that, particularly at this platform in this room, that internet and technology can remove the barriers faced by persons with disabilities, and they can be mainstreamed into education, employment opportunities, livelihood, and all spheres of the life. So I'm just going to highlight the legal framework or the policy framework which we currently have in Pakistan, so that whatever we are planning, we have to make sure that we are working in this domain. First of all, we have best practices, which Shabir has mentioned. Ignite is doing ComSets, other organizations. Internet Society has contributed a lot. So keeping in view these best practices and the legislation, we can create a situation where we can create an enabling environment. Pakistan has ratified UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2011. So UN Convention clearly mentions that everything, the education, health, environment, and information should be accessible for everyone. And Pakistan is, as being a state party, is like its compulsion on it to make a legislation. And we have included in the Pakistan IT policy the accessibility issue. It should be translated into law. Secondly, we have just presented a bill. The bill has been presented by the Human Rights Minister in National Assembly. It was a struggle of almost 10 years. The Disability Rights Bill had been laid in the Assembly on 22nd of December. So in like coming days, we are going to hear this good news that we are going to have the first ever disability rights legislation, which is also endorsing that everything should be accessible and enabling environment should be ensured. So we have these legal and international, the national and international commitments in hand. We have best practices. I would suggest we should like conduct a situation analysis, compile these best practices and the policy framework we have, so that we can make a better future plan.
Thank you. This is another good news. The disability right bill is coming in. So I think in terms of the legislation or policy, we are pretty mature. If I try to put Pakistan within the Asia Pacific, like the Pakistan digital policy has a whole chapter which steps the policy measures that should be taken. We just had this right to information, and we have the digital bill coming in. So, Parvez, now sitting in the PM task force, of course, you just told us what are the objectives, and I can now clearly relate my question with these objectives. How do you see, because legislations are okay, but I think now is the time then we start pushing for actions as well. I think it's not only Pakistan, there's a lot of problem in many countries that we're very good to lay down policy, write down the words, but then when it comes to implementation or real action, there's very less that we are able to achieve or do. So how do you see as member of the PM task force, these discussions that just came in? Websites are not accessible. In fact, we did an assessment, and I remember still around 85% of the government websites in Pakistan are not accessible. Shabir bhai, the second time or third time I was meeting him, he made a complaint. Naveed bhai, I want to file my tax, but the FBR site is not accessible. You filed it? Oh, congratulations. So it's accessible now? It's not okay. Okay. No, okay. Anyone who take the note, please don't deduct those taxes from his bank account. He is a filer. But you see, sir, what I'm trying to relate and what I'm trying to ask, how do you see what perhaps could be some very short-term measures that could be taken, or even on the mid side or the long strategy of the government? How do you see this government or this PM task force can really push the focus towards these legislations which are already on the table?
Coming to Shabir Saab's comment, Shabir Saab, you are a filer despite the website not being accessible to you. But I can tell you the website is not accessible to anybody. I mean, very good, high caliber IT professionals actually hire somebody to file their tax return because it's so complicated and I would say inaccessible. So accessibility issue doesn't stop at persons with disabilities. It's a universal phenomenon, unfortunately, as far as we are concerned. Naveed, what you said is also right. We are very good at policy making. We are very good at regulation, formulation. But when it comes, or even laws, I mean, do you think there's no law to cross red light, against crossing red light? There is. The problem is in implementation. Unfortunately, that's where we lack, and we lack very badly. So policies, yes, there are good policies, digital policy, telecom policy. There is a financial inclusion policy, which relates to digital finance, financial services, things like that. But implementation is a big issue. That's unfortunate. And the one proof you actually mentioned in your question, one proof of that is that 85% of the government websites are not accessible by people with disabilities. And this is against the government's own claim or proclamation that everything will be accessible. So these are the issues which we are confronted with. The new government has, of course, expressed their willingness and declared that they will be addressing these issues. And I'm glad to know from Sir that it is, they have appointed him, so that means they are serious about it. In the task force, also coming to the task force, we are not actually formulating policies. There are policies available. We are talking of actually implementable programs. The first thing on which full concentration is being made is projects with PC1s. You probably, all of you know that when the government has to implement a project, PC1 has to be made, and that PC1 has to be then scrutinized by the planning commission, and there's a whole process of that. And the PC1 for the next year's budget, next year's financial year, has to be submitted in the month of February. So this is the time. So the first set of projects that the task force is coming up with, unfortunately, Telecom is not in that because Telecom is completely privatized in Pakistan. But as far as the IT is concerned, so the first set of projects, the PC1s are being made right now. Some of them have been made and submitted to the Planning Commission. So the emphasis is on implementation, not on policy making. Telecom also has come up with a couple of initiatives which do not require PC1, but which are actually implementable programs, which we are going to implement. For example, optic fiber cable penetration. We desperately need much more optic fiber cables on the ground. We are very much behind the rest of the world in that. And we have already made a program, and we are going to fund it through USF, Universal Service Fund. All of you know about it. And hopefully within this month, we will have the board decision, and the program is being formulated as I speak in the USF. They have been told to formulate the program. So we are trying. We also spoke about it earlier, about these websites, the government websites, which are not accessible. We are definitely going to do something about that. I am not in the IT side, but I'm in the overall task force. And commitments, as you said, one of the commitments all I've already made. I will try my best to have that brought in as a subject, as a decision of the task force to convert, to improve all the websites, at least the federal government websites, that they all become accessible. So to cut the answer short, the entire emphasis is on implementation, policy making and regulation. Both ho gaya.
Excellent. And do you think there is a room for other stakeholders, so for example, persons with disabilities, if even they have some suggestions to put to the task force?
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody with any suggestion is most welcome.
Excellent. Okay, we had a suggestion in computer sciences or software engineering degrees. We taught subject about UI design, a chapter or content on UI. UI is user interface, right? Needs and requirement of special persons should be added by HEC if they were approached by the official committee. Okay, so that's a suggestion. How inside the current curriculum, perhaps something could be put in.
Yeah. So my friend is actually sitting very closely to the. He's not in the task force, but sitting very closely with them, who are dealing exactly with this topic, HRD for IT.
Okay, good. Thanks for telling that.
Yeah. So, as mentioned by Parvez, that there are 3 subcommittees. So, one of the subcommittees is related to the HRD. So, how can we make the human capital? So, again, as you mentioned, and also we are very much close working with that group of the Prime Minister Task Force, and this suggestion will be shared with them. But also, I think it's important that we can actually find a way from the conventional ways to something that is more innovative, that has more reach, and that is kind of making people happy while learning. So I think we should also take these kind of suggestions from your side, what you have learned. For example, we have our overseas friends also here. So they can actually share with us through ISOC platform because we are talking about the regional forum. So what it is that we learn from each other. So how quickly and how important it is that we will make ourselves a success story by following, maybe following others, but also the challenges and the constraints that they have faced. So we are not in a position to face them by having an access to their stories. So this is something that we can look forward to from this forum.
Excellent. Any questions from the? So I have two questions. Can I take him first?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Kamal, and my question is going to be regarding the educational system for special education, especially. In last 1 to 2 years, I have been visiting special schools in Islamabad as well as in Gilgit. And today, well, it has been a wonderful day for me to learn about digital accessibility and to learn the meaning, what it really means. So my question is that there are so many great professionals here who have, despite differently being differently able, they have made great progress in life. Hello. Okay, my question is, what are we doing to educate kids on grassroots level? And if there was a principal or a teacher from the special education system here as a stakeholder to come and share his or her thoughts, wouldn't it be more productive? And wouldn't it help the cause that in future there would be more professionals, and it would be like that EdTech can greatly contribute to better empowerment and employment of all students. So this is my question. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Akbar, I'll let you and Mr. Zahid to take the question. Can I take the second question as well? Zahid bhai, thank you.
My name is Absal, and I'm a freelancer programmer working from 2007, and I have a simple question to Parvez. That is, do you have are you people doing anything about payment gateways? Because this is the biggest hurdle that we have. I mean, it's just so annoying.
Okay, so we are moving from digital accessibility to payment accessibility. So we'll come at that. Of course, a good question. In fact, it is related with people who want to have applications might be of use to persons with disabilities in the countries. Okay, Mr. Zahid, पहले सवाल का जवाब.
बहुत शुक्रिया. Actually, in all provinces, and also in at federal level, there are special education schools where education is imparted according to the needs of students with disabilities, kids with disabilities over there. But we all know very well that what funds we allocate for education from our budget. And there is a lot of debate whether there should be separate schools or whether there should be, these, because of the outreach issues, mainstream schools, students, teachers should be trained to handle children with disabilities according to their special needs. But coming back to, what was earlier said about imparting education to, scientific education to students with disabilities at university level or college level, there is this need for, I think ComSec may like to take lead on establishing accessibility department, equal opportunity department, disability department, whatever you may like to call it. Because in all the good universities all over the world,
These departments are there which cater to the needs of not only students with disabilities but also teachers with disabilities. And like for example, and if you talk to any student with disabilities who has done his masters or in Pakistan in public, whether public or private universities, their major concern is to find a writer for themselves. They have to, they are supposed to bring a writer for themselves. It should be the responsibility of the educational institution, and similarly, all those other material should be made available to them in accessible formats. And one, just very quickly, Ignite is doing wonderful work, and I know it. I heard it on media as well, in the Rahat ke program as well. You have supported wonderful initiatives, but this issue must have been raised earlier as well. We desperately need. I mean, it's been since 1996 when there was only one computer user, computer user in Pakistan. Now there is a critical mass, and persons with disabilities, blind people, they learn from each other how to use JAWS. I mean, there are always very few resources. People know how to use JAWS. They can learn it from their friend, WhatsApp, computer mailing list. That knowledge is there. So those, little funds that we have, we need to spend very wisely. And may I humbly suggest that we should support some initiative, take a lead on it, if you could, to um, uh, develop a text-to-speech engine in Urdu language, because most of the blind people who are not that much literate, they can not access computer just because so much material is there, but but, but there's no speech in text-to-speech in there. Thank you.
Can I ask? Okay, thank you very much. First of all, let me come to your question in regards to involving special education division in terms of session. So let me just, I just want to let you know that when Vikas invited me to the session, so my first thoughts were the same. So I work closely with many special education schools here in Islamabad. One of the schools that I specifically focus on is Umeed-e-Noor, which is a school run by Hashwani Foundation. So what we do is we normally go to that school, and as we mentioned, Wonder Tree here. So we are in the process of actually installing Wonder Tree system over there, so that to assess the actual progress of the children there. Because one of the discussions that I had with Wonder Tree was that in terms of they're using augmented reality to sort of teach children and to improve their mobility and their responses. So what we suggested to them was that the first thing is that the claims should be validated. So we involved social scientists from my alma mater, University of Sussex, and other universities like MIT, Media Laboratory. And what we are now focusing on is that we are going to assess those children, and then we are going to publish those findings so that the results that they are claiming could be validated, and then we have something to showcase to the world that this is something that was developed in Pakistan, and this actually works as is validated by the international standards. Now, the other thing is I also invited Umeed-e-Noor to actually come here. I actually bypassed Vikas on that, and I give them invite myself. But unfortunately, they were unable to make it today. So otherwise, we would have some representation from the special education division. Now, coming back to the next question, in terms of let me just first reiterate some of the good initiatives of Ignite. One of the text-to-speech engine. Now, Ignite funded a project at UET Lahore, a team led by Dr. Sarmad, and they are developing the text-to-speech engine. Now, I know most of you are thinking that the progress on that is quite slow, and there were some reservations from people with disabilities in regards to the actual project, the prototype that is currently under development. So what we did last time was, and Shabir, I did invite you, but you didn't come. You had some work commitment on that. So what we did was we invited people from Dr. Sarmad's team on 3rd of December, which is the International Day of People with Disabilities. And we said to them to give a live demo in front of all the blind organizations that were present at that time. So what we wanted to do a public audit, so that it was something that we wanted to see that what progress that they have made and what are the lackings in their system that they would go back and improve. So the live demo, so it went well. Some of the synonyms that they were pronouncing, they were not clear. So the team actually promised that they would go back and work on those. And I think the good thing on that was, in terms of the text-to-speech engine, was that initially what they were trying to do was they were trying to develop an engine from scratch. Now, some of the initial consultations, somebody suggested that they should work on the already developed open source models like the NVDA screen reader. Now, what they did was they are wrapping the text models that they have created around the NVDA open source engine that has already been developed. So the interfaces are already made by the open source community. So hopefully now they have adopted this approach, the progress would be much faster. And also I think they have already started the prototype distribution. So if you go to the CLE website, yes, so they, language, Center for Language Engineering at UET, if you they send a copy of your disability card, you will get the software package as a prototype for free. So that is something that they are doing. So as a beta phase, that you can actually get a copy of that software, test it, and give your feedback. So that is something good that is happening. And also, Shabir, coming back to your initial question in terms of the rankings and how we need to improve on the rankings. So when I initially mentioned that India, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, they are doing good. So they are doing good because the evaluation index, it has got a lot of parameters. So the text-to-speech engine is one parameter, of course, but there are certain other parameters as well. So although you're right to say that Nepal does not have a dedicated text-to-speech engine, but there are other countries which do have, which we can learn from. Like Qatar and Oman is a good example. So Qatar recently developed the Arabic text-to-speech engine, and that's all open source, and that's also available for free. And how they developed that was that they went to Carnegie Mellon and they hired the whole research group that was working on that, and they sort of ported them to Qatar, and they developed the Arabic because they are preparing for the World Cup, so they need to be ready. So Professor Stephen Vogel is taking the lead on that, and they have actually promised us that they can share the Arabic text-to-speech engine, the open source model, with us. So if developers here in Pakistan would like to work on that and make an Urdu version of that, they're more than happy to do that. So that's that. Thank you.
Excellent. This is good.
Quickly, let me answer a couple of questions. One that is Mr. Gardezi already pointed out, and Zahid Saab. We have also funded the Urdu OCR so that it can Urdu search engine and with the accessibility option. Plus, I think now Dr. Sarmad's team has taken the right decision to bring the end user as a team member. So they are into the beta. The beta version is available so that they can actually test it out and then figure out what are the key problems and how quickly once the beta is out, so it means now they have the monkey on their back. So they have to fix those things. So that is one thing. But in addition to this, we have also funded the project which are related to the Urdu OCR and Urdu search engine and also the natural language processing stuff. So it will help in not only to text to speech, but also the vice versa. Because we want also kind of Urdu series and Alexas to be there. So it will actually help in making it. Because in the next couple of years, more than 50% of our search will be voice-based. So this is something that is the challenge is there. As I think that okay. There is I think they have their own some guidelines to follow, but we can discuss with them. The other question, day before yesterday, I was part of the because I'm coming to the digital payments So the question was there, so let me answer on behalf of the Commerce Ministry and the government. So I was there just before coming to this forum, I received an email in which the draft was shared. So we have to review it, and now the government is working with through the State Bank of Pakistan to facilitate the digital payments, the micro level and the small and medium enterprises, so that they have this kind of facility available, and it will definitely help in providing the feeling of ease of doing business, where the Prime Minister is taking the lead.
Many good things are happening. So it's really good to hear all of whatever been shared. Shabir bhai, I'll give you just like 30 seconds. No, I'll give you 30 seconds. Yes, no. Okay.
Actually, thank you, Neet bhai. First 30 seconds I will use for a suggestion which is regarding to payment gateway. So, Parvez, while you are in the process of implementing the digital policy, one of the recommendations that we had given was that WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, should be followed to a AA accessibility standard. It is an international standard, and I need not explain because I don't have time. So I think you should be ensuring that all the digital payment gateways, apps, and the websites and the systems that are developed, you need to ensure that they are made accessible to at least AA accessible level according to WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Regarding this Urdu text-to-speech engine, Zahid is very right in pointing out that what's the need of CNIC. I remember back in 2015, October 2015, which was my first ever interaction with Internet Society and Internet governance. I had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Samad. He speaks very eloquently. I put the same suggestion that should, and by that time he was in the process of developing this text-to-speech engine. My suggestion was the same, that you should come to the community and we should get the recommendations from them. But somehow or the other, the developers, they decided not to come to the community. I had also the pleasure of working with some organizations whom they have been testing this software. So I feel bad that I could not make it to Akbar Saab's your invitation on 3rd December due to my official commitments at my own university. But I know that what kind of that software is, and there is this, according to my information and the information that Ignite's website states, that a project sponsored and funded by $36.25 million rupees, my apologies, 36.25 million rupees is finished, and we don't have yet to see a text-to-speech engine. It's another can of worm that I don't want to open here. But since it was pointed out, I thought it proper to mention it here. Thank you.
Okay, Shabir, you want to add something?
Thank you. My name is Sabir Kamar. I'm currently in Iqra University. So I just want to share, it's not question, it's just sharing with you the situation in universities on this development and the projects those are facilitating the disabled persons or PWDs. It's worth mentioning that NUST is very, very fast in these terms. They have established robotics labs and working with the wheelchair project and robots and others. Over there, undergraduate team as their final year project work for a prototype. With that, the person can, with his eye closing and opening once, can shut down the lights or the doors. And on the job fair, large crowd was there just to see for that. But my feeling is the research work and the things are done very valid, very good in the institution. But what's about their commercialization? So that is the issue. In my opinion, academia industry gap need to be minimized. Thank you.
I think it's an excellent point. I totally agree. I also think, and I've been talking with Ali a lot that we have to move towards the to say applicable research rather than just the research, because usually a lot of research that we do in universities is not applicable research. Anyways, Shabir bhai, I think things are moving in a right direction for that. So I mean, there are Drustai. Hopefully, I will have this text-to-speech engine. Once it is developed, of course, it will open a lot more in terms of applications and services. So I have to now close down. I think we are 5 past over the hours, but any last comments from any one of you? I know we need collaboration. I know, and there's a lot of things. Another challenge that we have here is that if you see, there's a lot of small initiatives and activities happening across Pakistan in different dimensions, and all of them are like absolute. But then somehow we miss how to put all those into one picture and complete the picture. So I think I would like to hear from someone of you how you think we can do this. What is the way forward?
Let me volunteer on that. I think it's a good thing that we are doing these small things. Once you bring all these things together and try to implement a mega project, it somehow gets stuck somewhere. Look at so many other mega projects that are stuck for years. I wouldn't say Tarbela Dam because that's, of course, an extreme example. But Pakistan Electronic Crimes Act. I mean, if it was broken down into smaller bills, we would have had it started somewhere in 2005-6. I think the first draft was made then, and it took 10 years, about 10 years to get it through. So your point is good. Of course, ideal way would be to make a holistic picture and not do in bits and pieces. But sometimes that works better for us.
Yeah, but at least know what's happening. I think that's also a problem. I mean, these forums cannot be arranged every day, but I mean, honestly, I have just been to see so much is happening, but I never knew this much is happening. I don't know. This is not a problem that we can solve. But,
yeah. That's the downside of it. Of course, there's a lot that you don't know. When small things are happening, you don't always know. But if it works in the long run, in the overall scenario, I think there's nothing wrong with that, at least for the time being.
So what at Ignite, from Ignite perspective, I think because spending an amount and expecting that it will be, and it's a research, so it hasn't been done before. So we have to keep in mind that there needs some happen. So as mentioned by him, that on December 3, they were courageous to come with the product and showcase it in the Kuli Kachari, what I can say, okay, fix it. So please, fix us in the other way. So now this something, and the human capital that has been developed for the natural language processing related software. So actually we are not investing on the projects only. It is the most important thing in the project that we as a head or as the key evaluator, I see is the team. So how much actually human capital will be there at the end of the project? So this is the key thing that we have. So once the product is ready, I'm not calling it a minimum MVP kind of thing, but how you have to play a role. So before the release, because there's a lot of activities involved from the prototype the commercial product. Pre and how to actually take it through and then how to fix those things. So I think now the direction is right, what I can say, and not all the things which have been promised in the initial phase have to happen. So this is something, because we always believe in change. Change is one thing which is constant. So I think we should keep our patience and let people come up with better solutions thereafter.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me just close by sharing a small story. So one of the other Ignite funded initiatives last year, training workshops in Pakistan, in which Pakistan Disabled Foundation, what they did was that they went to 7 different cities of Pakistan and they involved the blind community to learn about the screen reading software. So, but it was the unique thing about this training was a training for blind by the blind. So all the trainers were blind as well. So a funny story was that ComStats University, like we were helped setting up the laboratories here in Islamabad. So one, like when we came, we set up the NVDA software in all the PCs. So those who have used NVDA, you might know that when the PC turns up, it starts to talk. So in the morning, turned on the PCs, all the PCs started talking. And they got scared and what's going on with the PCs? There's a virus. All the PCs started talking. So that quite. But the good thing about that training, but for us, was that we hosted 50 blind participants in ComStats for 3 days. Now the good thing was that when they came, now as a holistic approach from the gate to the laboratory where the sessions were to take place, beforehand, the staff, they were not aware, because the previous trainings that we used to do was whenever just somebody showed up to the gate, they would say, go to lab G2. Now, for them, it was a good learning experience. Someone from the gate to the laboratory and how to help them go up this flight of stairs or tell them which lift to take. And so from the lowest tier of our administration to the highest tier, everybody was involved. So that was good. And after that, what we did was we made it as a practice that all the laboratories and all the PCs should be installed with NVDA software. So now the software is already there. So if anybody wants to use it, they can use it on those PCs. The other good thing that we learned from this exercise was the willingness of the people to learn. And that's where I actually derived the question that most people who came to that training, it was good for them to experience the university environment, see what happens in the university and the aspiration to actually come to the university. And most of us asked that how can we actually in a software engineering, or I want to code, how also motivate faculty as well to actually start working interface or a Java can be used on a screen reader. So all of these things, when we involve the community, I think involving the community in actually generates interest, and that actually then leads to products coming up. And just ending it on the note of commercialization, I think commercialization of assistive technologies is a big problem. I think the last meeting we did with the UNSCAP in Bangkok, even over there, when the regional representatives from different Asian Pacific countries were there, everybody highlighted the same problem, that assistive technologies, they commercialize because nobody's a market share or a capital in those. So what are the steps that we need to take so these technologies can be developed widely? So these are some things I think since Pakistan is at a stage of evolving, so rather than we evolve in the right direction rather than go and then come back down, I think we need to start taking steps at this stage. And I think right in terms of the W3C standards, that at least we should adhere to AA standards. There are 3 standards, A, AA, and AAA. So AA should be the bare minimum requirement. So I thank you all.
Thank you. Excellent. I mean, yes, you have to have those small, even if you have to travel to 1 mile or 1 kilometer. So Excellent. Yes, those small steps are very important. And I would say that there is a strong aim and will. It's not a problem of aim and will anywhere. There's a huge gap in terms of the awareness. What are the needs and what are the requirements? So as Dr. Akbar just shared, I mean, we've been going to PTA, taking Shabir Bhai and some other VIPs people with us, and eventually the PTA said that we need a ramp because the person on wheelchair cannot enter into the building of PTA. So, so that's another example of useless. So I think there is a change that is needed in the culture, which will come only if we have the inclusion. We have the person with disabilities with us on the stage talking and tell us what is there. Because I think we perhaps cannot be those experts and we cannot really hit the right side of the problem. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. This is the time to close. But those who have been from Farhan. So Farhan, can you stand up? This is Farhan. Don't lose. Oh, this is Farhan or Adil. Any of them. So they have some giveaways which are very useful. We have that thing as well, right? Made this as well. This is something which is I find it really beneficial. So don't forget to take this because it helps to take selfies and also to put it as a stand and watch video. So thank you very much, everyone. Please give a round of applause to yourself as well. You've been such a great audience, and I hope an internet society hopes that this was a very useful one day for you, discussing and learning about the issues. To the panelists, of course, all of you are important people. One thing, of course, what we like to do as an outcome of this forum is to come up with some important discussions that happened here that might be taken in consideration by the PM task force on HRD matters or IT matters, telecom matters, and of course the academic. So thank you very much once again.
Okay, before everybody leaves and we actually call it off officially, there's one person that we'd like to thank from the bottom of our hearts, and that is Naveed himself. If I'm getting Naveed's attention, because this forum would not have been possible if his personal attention to this matter was not there. He was able to secure funding from my SOC and one of the key persons that really helped. So, a big round of applause for